Hungry, the ugly duckling had an idea, dug in dirt, found worms, and ate till full. Ross knocked out the first task like a champ, but to help our ugly duckling survive, they needed a crib, so let's get building. Ross wasted no time dragging Fink into the woods, and in a flash, he scored a mountain of firewood. There, they ran into Mr. Hewley, and according to Fink, he's the comedy relief of the forest because he's been trying to chew through a giant. Oh well, who cares about the end result? It's all about the fun we have along the way. Next, Fink sneaked Ross over to Mr. Hewley's house for a little reconnaissance. They planned to borrow some design tips from Hewley's house to build their shelter. When Hewley got home, he found his place had been wiggled. Thanks to Ross' 3D model, they cranked the shelter up to 11, and with Ross' can-do attitude, the place expanded in no time. And our little ugly duckling was busy supervising. And after a few hours, they built a shelter that could rival a masterpiece. Ross gave the ugly duckling a cute nickname, Little Squirt. Fink was enjoying his cozy bed when Mr. Hewley burst in, ruining it. You've plagiarized my original house design. Hewley's surprise entrance sent Little Squirt into a panic. Little Squirt ran amok, leaving Fink no choice but to tell a heartwarming fairy tale. Finally, Little Squirt settled down and drifted off to the big bad wolf, initially looking for a snack. Suddenly felt a connection with Little Squirt and delved into Ross' arms. Big bad wolf was lonely inside, just putting on a brave face. As time passed, Little Squirt grew up, but he had no friends. Other animals saw him and ran away in fright, thinking he was raised by some steel monster and crafty fox. Everyone thought he was a freak. Uncle Rich suggested, "Tuck and roll, show me your moves. Genius." Ross nodded, deciding to put Little Squirt on a plank, but Little Squirt was scared and prepared to bolt. Just then, Dad Fink gave him a dramatic shove, and while Little Squirt thrashed in the water, he shockingly discovered he could swim. Ross' second mini-mission was accomplished, stealthily sticking his hand in the water to save Little Squirt from drowning. Every day he was training to be a submarine, and when Little Squirt swam past some reeds and spotted a bunch of lookalikes, he zoomed over excitedly. However, his swim style made him the laughingstock, and they thought his parents must be monsters, plotting to take him down for being such a freak. Spotting Little Squirt in danger, Ross dove into the lake, seeing a mad rush with all the other swans scattering in panic. Just as Little Squirt escaped danger, a big fish snagged him, but Ross' arms swooped in just in time to save the day. But then those pesky swans returned, not only mocking him, but also spilling the beans about Little Squirt's family history. That thing killed your real mom. Everyone knew the secret, and it turned out that when Ross fell here, he had unwittingly caused her death. It was a shock for Little Squirt to take in, so he left in despair while Ross sat helplessly on the mountaintop, feeling lost, and Fink reassured him as swans migrated south, signaling winter's approach. If Little Squirt didn't learn to fly, he'd stay on the island. Ross was desperate and determined to find Little Squirt again. Whether he liked it or not, Ross had to teach him how to fly. He calculated the swan's flight patterns like a scientist, but Little Squirt faced failure after failure. To help Little Squirt, Ross designed a runway day and night, only to launch him into the skies. With Ross' guidance, Little Squirt finally took off, but alas, he couldn't figure out how to land and was heading straight for the Luckily, Ross swooped in just in time to catch him. To teach him better, he even called in an ingenious owl as a mentor. The owl told Little Squirt he had some innate quirks that prevented him from flying like the other swans, but his shape was perfect for spinning and swooping. With the owl's guidance, Little Squirt soared like a kite and earned the elder swan's approval. All thanks to Ross for letting him join the migration. I get it. But no, you don't really get it, the elder swan told Little Squirt. If it weren't for Ross saving you, you'd be a goner by now. That accident serendipitously saved him. Life can be unpredictable, and Little Squirt turned to Ross, saying goodbye. It was great to meet you. You're truly amazing, even if I have no clue what kind of creature you really are, Little Squirt mused. I'm a total mess right now, feeling real baffled. Little Squirt awkwardly changed the subject. As migration time drew near, they were about to part ways. Ross put Little Squirt on his shoulder for one final boost. Watching Little Squirt drift away, Ross completed his final mission, feeling all sorts of emotions as tears streamed down his face. He sprinted desperately to see Little Squirt one last time, but saw only a feather drifting like a dream. The feather became Ross' eternal reminder, and after Little Squirt left, he lingered by the cliff for a long time. Just then, Fink found him and said, "Winter's here, he'll hibernate now." They bid farewell. Ross activated the head transmitter. Headquarters picked it up, but oddly, it blinked and vanished. Meanwhile, Little Squirt was on the migration path, flying with the swan flock from day to night, taking in breathtaking views. Suddenly, a raging tornado blocked their path, and Elder Swan had no choice but to lead everyone to seek shelter among humans. They reached a high-tech farm, and Little Squirt saw a familiar figure and mistakenly thought it was Ross. But that guy mistook him for an invader. Meanwhile, more swans were spotted by robots. With headquarters issuing a command, they were labeled pests and marked for extermination. Elder Swan hurriedly found Little Squirt